Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Main Phase, a Magic the Gathering podcast aimed at bringing you grade A content regarding our favorite game. Today we will be discussing the World Magic Cup, currently underway, and spoilers from Ravnica Allegiance, as well as MagicFest Memphis. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Main Phase episode 106. I am joined today by my heterosexual life partner, Debo.
Hey guys, how y'all doing today?
You weren't expecting that one, were you? We're going to be covering a number of things today. World Magic Cup is in full swing. You been watching any of that content at all?
Unfortunately, I haven't, but I've been kind of reviewing the decks and the plays on the back end.
Yeah.
So
I got an opportunity to watch a little bit of the Limited. I also watched some of the three-team standard.
Mm-hmm.
It was taking place. And we'll jump right into that. Also today, just as a quick front end, we're going to also talk a little bit about, well, spoilers.
That's right, yeah.
Spoilers, man. Oh, my goodness. We got stuff coming from Ravnica Allegiance right now. We've, 6-7 cards spoiled now?
As well as confirmation that the other cycle of the shock lands are going to be in it.
They are, in fact, going to be there. I mean, is that really surprising to you that the other shocks were coming?
Not really. I mean, if they were to put it, it would be either in this one or the next set. So
Sure.
I'm glad they put it in this one.
Yeah, it really does open the door. It gives us a lot of play in terms of Dominaria, some of the cards that are in M19, especially with the Elder Dragons. We really, really want to be able to play a lot of those cards and play them well. Those shock lands are going to help kind of smooth out some of those transitions. But also, we'll wrap up the show today talking a little bit about GP Memphis and whether or not we might be there. We'll see. So take us away, Debo. Let's get started in the World Magic Cup.
Sure. So World Magic Cup this time can be comprised of 74 teams, or at least it is comprised of 74 teams from across the globe to compete to be crowned the winner.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting about this time around is that they opted to, as they're streaming on Twitch, they opted to go to subscriber only stream. Chat.
Yeah, I saw that. It was an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe they thought there was going to be some backlash.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't know if it was necessarily because they thought it was going to be backlash. I think there's been just trolls that have gone into the chat and have been causing some trouble in previous things, like maybe saying the announcers suck or something like that.
Seriously?
Yeah. And so I think...
An open internet chat forum where there are trolls?
I know. Who would have thought?
Oh, my goodness.
So I think...
Recommendation. Kill it with fire.
So I think the whole idea behind it is that here the people who can then chat are the ones that are subscribed to the channel that have a vested interest in it. The problem is that nobody wants to subscribe. Apparently there was only maybe 10 people talking in chat versus the hundreds that were talking before. So I don't know how successful
subscriptions cost money.
Yeah.
What other value do you get out of that beyond the emotes? I mean, I understand the Twitch thing. I get it. Subscribers subscribe for content, right?
Right.
And Magic the Gathering, between the MagicFest and some of their dedicated streamers, we were talking about that in episode 105, right? Some of these streamers that are now being kind of picked up by Magic and allowed to run under that Magic banner on Twitch specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I could see subscribing for, interacting with the streamer, to have specific emotes that you wanted to put in. It's like a status kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's a status thing.
And it's also one of those things where you want to support them because they get a kickback from whenever they get subscribed.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
Should the Magic Cup get a kickback for just...
I don't. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Look,
they're not a subscriber.
I don't know.
A streamer. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like the game itself, Magic the Gathering itself, makes a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah.
In terms of not only the brick and mortars, it's digital content, the cardboard sells. It's the most popular tabletop game in the world.
Yep.
It is the most popular tabletop game. Should they also be reaping the benefits of additional $5 or $10 or $20 a month subscriptions? I don't know. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. My position on streaming is that we should support streamers that we like, that make us feel good about viewing their content, that create a community involvement, that brings your opinion and maybe even your play style, your decks to streaming. And I think that's what we're going to aim to do when we open our stream as well.
Yeah. And so I personally think that the subscription only Twitch stream was a miss. I don't think they should have done that. Instead, what I think they should have done is just opted to have more mods and moderators on the stream to be able to get get out the bad actors.
People with sharper blades and faster arms.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So because I don't think people want to spend even more money than they already are on the game. You know what I mean? So having it to where it's a $5 subscription, I don't think people would want to do that. And then it kind of showed from what I heard during the actual event itself, where there's only like 10 people talking on chat.
Well, they'll get it worked out in the future.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if the game is aimed at trying to create community involvement, that they'll figure out a way to get the community involved without having to make it a pay port,
Right.
A pay to play kind of thing, right? So back to World Magic Cup. Let's move this along. We've got limited time for the podcast, and you and I could sit here and debate about the finer things in restricting conversations in Twitch chats all day. But the World Magic Cup is underway. Like I said, I got an opportunity to watch the first 3 rounds of the sealed play.
How'd you like it?
Overall, sealed play is fascinating. Without question, I think the strongest archetype in just Guilds of Ravnica sealed is Surveil. Thought Erasure becomes so powerful, right? And a card that everybody's playing, whether or not it's black-blue or they're playing Golgari, Dimir or Golgari is dead weight. Dead weight's everywhere because you get multiple copies in your sealed pool, right?
Yep.
It's pretty common stuff. Here's what we're seeing. We're seeing Surveil, Boros aggro, and Golgari. That's what you'd see. I think that's what you'd expect to see, right?
Yeah, Selesnya really hasn't been taking a stance in limited, even though there are some powerful cards in there. It's just the problem is the other ones just kind of overshadow it.
It almost always splashed black, though. In the Selesnya decks, it almost always splashes black from what I was seeing.
Yeah,
okay?
I just don't think there's enough removal in green and white right now to really be able to maximize Selesnya.
You know, Team USA pulled out of the sealed pool with a 3-0 record.
Really?
Yes, they did. They had a really big win against Spain, against the previous world champion in Dominguez, right? Seth Manfield lost actually his 3 set, but the other 2 members of Team USA were able to pick up that ball and cross the goal line into the touchdown zone. So, end zone. I don't do sports ball. Anyway, Team Unified Standard really opening up to be exciting as well. The way that they play these is that there's essentially 3 competitors on either side of the table, and you have to win a best-of-3 match. And the first 2 of those competitors from either team to win that best-of-3 match, they end up taking it as a team. Unfortunately, though, and here's one of the things I really want to talk about with Magic, World Magic Cup, is that this is the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of alluded to that last podcast in 105.
Yeah.
So with these new Mythic events, they are canceling World Magic Cup. And so this is the last one that's going to be going on. So what I wonder is if they're going to do another type of world event.
Yeah.
Just not call it World Magic Cup. Main reason why is because I think, since they've been introducing, like they're getting rid of Pro Tour, right? But instead they're calling it Mythic Championships.
Yes.
Because they're including both digital and paper. So maybe we're going to have another thing like that, where instead of it being World Magic Cup, maybe it's called like the Global Series or something like that.
Okay.
And it has both digital and paper in it. And it's still the same type of a thing. They haven't announced anything like that yet, so I don't know if that's going to be in the works or not. But who knows?
When I'm watching the stream here, a lot of those, you know how they run these little mini docs in between the rounds? Sometimes they give you like entering the battlefield. That's what they call them. These little mini doc series where they kind of go around, they interview various players. Even the interviews with those pros from the various international teams that were on site almost always comment on the fact that this is the last World Magic Cup, that this is the only event of its kind. Yeah. That it's the only time where they get to represent their international pride, their national pride, as it were. Yeah. You know, there's a multitude of countries, maybe not a multitude. There's not a multitude of countries in the world, but there are certainly several handfuls of countries here that represent their own national championships in Magic the Gathering. And so to ascend to that level and to obtain a national championship, or maybe have 3 national champions who all want to team together to represent their country and then bring that to this event where all of the Magic players across the world are represented, or at least those, where the game is played, are represented in some form or fashion. It's gonna be quite a loss, I think, indeed.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I like to watch like the World Soccer Cup, Football Cup. Yeah. I like to watch that.
The World Cup.
Yes, but I mean for people who don't watch the sport,
Oh, okay,
so
right.
I enjoy watching that, and it's the same type of thing where it's the same like with the Olympics. You want to root for your country, you want to root for your home team, you want to see talented players from all over the world compete, and I'm sure we're going to be able to get some of that with like Pro Tour and things like that, or at least Mythic Championships. But if we're not going to have a competition that allows us to see players on the world stage, I agree with you. I think that's a major loss. So hopefully they come up with something else, that they rebrand it and they include digital or something like that, and they still have this nationalistic style of play where you're playing on teams from different countries. I think that's great. I think show pride from where you're from. I think that's great.
Here in episode 106, I want you to go ahead and make note, and we will take a statement right now from JB, and that is the World Magic Cup will be back. They are saying they're canceling it. They'll bring it back in some form or fashion. I just don't think that they'll let it go away.
I mean, you were right about core sets.
I was right about core sets. I was 100% right about core sets. They said they're going away forever. I said they'll be back in a couple of years.
And it was.
And there it was. Core set 2019.
Yep.
What do you know? It's amazing that they kind of shifted. Either way, World Magic Cup, it'll be back. All right, so the decks that we are seeing, is it Drake's?
Yep.
For sure.
And then from the SCG Invitational Roanoke, there was also a Grixis Drake deck that was pretty interesting.
Oh, really?
Yep. And so, since that's so close, but maybe in a future high-level events, we'll see something like that as well. But yeah, is it Drake's we're seeing play at the World Magic Cup for sure.
I didn't get an opportunity to finish the day 2 stream, and I don't know if I will today, but I will certainly have that content reviewed by the next time that we do a podcast, just to be able to kind of find out. Plus, we'll have winning deck lists after this weekend. We'll see what teams ended up pulling through. There's so much variance in terms of the games that you play, the cards that you draw, the teams that you match, etc. But what I think we're going to see is certainly the lists, white weenies, right? We got heroic weenie as well, the red-white version of that. Such an incredibly good uncommon in that card.
Yep.
What else have we been seeing?
We've definitely been seeing some mono red and big red. Again, from this I know is not World Magic Cup, but from that SCG Invitational, which is very, very close in line with professional play.
Sure.
There was also some really interesting lists of mono red running 4 Direfleet Daredevil main board.
Interesting.
So I wonder if we'll see something like that.
What does Direfleet Daredevil do again?
So Direfleet Daredevil, for those who don't know, is 1 in a red. It's a 2/1 with first strike, and it says when it enters the battlefield, you can until end of turn cast a instant or sorcery spell from your opponent's graveyard.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And you still have to pay its cost.
I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very strong card, and it's really interesting that at least at this Invitational, we were seeing 4 being played main deck. It's usually relegated to sideboard. So I think it's really neat that it's seeing main board play. So,
weren't we calling him Crapcaster Mage for a while?
No.
What was the name?
The Theft Crafter.
Oh, Theft Crafter. I don't know.
Something like that.
We had some stupid pirate name for him. I can't remember.
Oh, no, Snatch Crafter Mage.
Snatch Crafter. Oh, goodness. It's a funny word. Grow up. All right. So anyway, Golgari mid-range, I think there's an expectation that we'll continue to see that. Maybe even after Ravnica Allegiance, we'll continue to see some
also
Golgari
some
mid-range.
Golgari aggro.
Golgari aggro, yeah. There's a little bit of a difference there in some of that. I think that main boards the Wild Growth Walkers and really leans on the Jade Light Rangers and the Merfolk Branch Walkers. And also, what you see a lot of people in Golgari aggro doing is essentially crashing the boards and attacking with their creatures, which is what you're supposed to do in the game.
Of course.
But not using finality at the 6, right? Using the other side of the card and find to return those creatures, go multiplicative with the benefits of the Wild Growth Walkers and grow them so they eventually become impossible threats.
Yeah, and
right?
Wild Growth Walkers, for those who don't know, is 1 in a green for a 1/3. And then it says whenever a creature explores, you can put a +1/+1 counter on Wild Growth Walker and gain 3 life.
That's right. Merfolk Branch Walker is a 1 in a green. It's a 2/1 that explores when it comes into the battlefield. Jade Light Ranger, for those of you that are unfamiliar, 1 colorless and 2 green and explores twice for a 2/1 when it comes into the battlefield. So just think about those triggers that stack up with the Wild Growth Walker and how beneficial that actually is. When you're pursuing an aggro line and you can swing those creatures into combat, maybe even trade equitably or put some damage on the life total, and then cast Find, which is either a green, black, for 2, instant, says return 2 target creatures from your graveyard to your hand. And the other side of that split card is Finality, which is 4 colorless and green, black, to be able to...
I think it's just four black and green.
Is it 4 black and green?
Yeah, so that one is a very specific black, green, and 4.
And what does it do? It puts
you put a +1/+1 counter or 2 on up to 1 target creature.
It is 2, and then all creatures get -4.
-4.
Right. Kind of like a Languish.
Yeah.
God, I miss that card. Anyway, yeah, so Golgari mid-range, Golgari aggro, green-white tokens, probably somebody playing some type of Selesnya tokens deck right now. Haven't seen it. What else?
Jeskai Control is definitely seeing some play.
Yeah.
I mean, you've obviously got Teferi, you've got Ral Zarek. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay. You got Ral. And then, of course, a bunch of very powerful blue, white, and red control cards.
Yeah.
So
it's that slow game, really.
Yeah.
It's that slow game. Mean Green, I don't think that either of us really thought that we'd see it, and I don't think we have.
No. And we haven't even really seen much in the way of like green, black Galta or anything like that either.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Speaking of Ferox and Friends, that deck is a lot of fun. I've been testing that on Arena. It is an abrasive deck, actually. I would recommend if you are playing Arena that you go ahead and try to build that deck. I've been having a great deal of fun with it. You know, even if you've got the cards lying around in cardboard and you are going and doing an F&M every week, I would recommend that you check that out as well. Okay, so yeah, Team Unified Seal. What country are you rooting for, Debo?
USA.
Okay. All right, I think we covered that. We are Patriots, so it is a good thing. Not that there's anything wrong with certainly the other countries of the world I like to visit, but Americans through and through. So we'll root for the home team. Any standout limited cards that you think that we're seeing? Again, we haven't had an opportunity to really analyze the decks that we've seen, but what do you think?
So at least from a high level, looking at the format, I know these are cards that people have been really picking out, and if they see it, it's oftentimes it's like a pack one, pick one, maybe a pack one, pick two, something like that. So one of them for me is Hypothesisal. That one's actually been seeing quite a bit of play.
What does it do?
So it's 3 blue and red for an instant speed. Draw 2 cards, and then you can discard a non-land card to deal 4 damage to target creature.
Woo.
Yeah. So.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. So that's actually a very powerful card. Being able to basically draw 2, loot 1, and then deal 4 damage to a creature that's giving you trouble. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
I mean, I love Artful Takedown.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've even seen some of that. You know, Manfield was playing that in a Surveil deck on the match that I saw where the U.S. was playing Spain.
Yep. So what does Artful Takedown do?
Artful Takedown it's got 2 options on it, right? It's a 2 colorless, a black and a blue, to be able to give target creature -2/-4, and the other side of it is
tap
a creature.
And you can choose one or both on that one as well.
Does it say one or both?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely a really good I'm going to swing in for the win, tap your creature, kill this one.
Yeah.
Or even just as a defensive, hey, I don't want you to swing with your big baddie I can't kill yet, but I'll also kill this one so you can't swing at me. So I think...
Or let's go ahead and trade off in combat.
Yeah,
let's trade off in combat. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. So Venerated Loxodon, in any of the green-white tokens. I actually don't think we'll see him very much.
I mean, given that he's a rare, it's just one of those things where it's going to be hard for people to find him. I'm sure people will pull them when they do.
Oh, sure. But Thought Erasure and Disinformation Campaign.
Yeah, Disinformation Campaign is most likely going to be a pack one, pick one.
It's a bomb.
Yeah, that card, it almost feels like a rare. I think if it was just 1 less mana, it would definitely be a rare.
Oh, no question.
But it is
Disinformation Campaign at 2?
Yeah, isn't that
Give
great?
me a break. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so it's definitely got some really good legs. So Disinformation Campaign, for those who don't know, is 1 blue and black. It says when it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card.
Correct.
You draw a card. And then whenever you surveil, return it to your hand. So if you're playing in a blue-black surveil deck,
oh yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're able to draw multiple cards for 3 mana, being able to force your opponent to discard cards. I mean, it's oppressive.
I mean, honestly, when you're talking about limited games, right, with Dimir Spybug and the House Guildmage, being able to tap the House Guildmage for 2 colorless and a black and surveil 2, pump the Dimir Spybug, return the Disinformation Campaign to your hand. Yikes. Ugly stuff going on there, you know? And those cards are all highly available in a limited pool.
Yeah.
When you start cracking Guilds of Ravnica packs, you see just how many gold cards are in there, right? It's incredible, actually, how many gold cards are in the set. I think more than any other set ever printed, the number of dual-sided and then dual-color cards in terms of gold cards available.
Another one here I think that people are seeing is, or would want to prioritize, is Beacon Bolt.
Yeah. Love that card.
Yeah. So for 1 blue and red, you have a sorcery that says it deals damage to target creature equal to the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard and in exile.
Yep.
and then it has jumpstart, so you
Yes,
can do it
it does.
again.
Just bring it right back.
Yeah, so it's
Don't need that island.
Yeah,
Need,
no.
need another beacon bolt. That's what we need.
So
Yeah.
it's a really great, high priority removal spell. So oftentimes people will pack one, pick one, that one. Definitely pack one, pick two.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think little known secret here about Guilds of Ravnica is that Grixis limited decks actually do work pretty well.
Yeah.
They actually tend to work pretty well when you combine that surveil style element and you're able to find creatures that introduce, on the red side at least, a little bit more in terms of pressure, plus getting access to things like direct current, right? Which is fantastic. I also like that, what is it, Cosmotronic Wave? That's a really great card in terms of being able to either clear the board or make what would seem like a really bad series of attacks. Of course, when you're playing other professional players or people who are in touch with the limited meta, when you swing into something like that, either you're representing that you have the Cosmotronic Wave, and in most cases they'll take the damage, or you actually have the Cosmotronic Wave, and they'll go ahead and block thinking that you don't.
Right.
And those are
well,
really...
The Cosmotronic Wave, though, it deals 1 damage to each creature your opponent control, and then it also prevents them from blocking. So you would oftentimes use that before you swing in, too. It's just that way, if you have lethal on board, you cause them to be able to not block and you just swing in.
Yeah, you can,
Mm-hmm.
but the most of the time that I've seen it cast is actually after combat in main phase 2 to kind of clear out some would-be future problems, right? It certainly is a card that represents lethal when cast main phase 1 before combat. Okay, so moving on to what I'm really excited about for the podcast here, Debo. We got spoilers.
Oh my God, we love spoilers.
We got spoilers. Take it away, my man.
All right, so the first one that actually got spoiled was Illuminate the Stage. It's 2 and a red. It's a sorcery.
Light the stage. Confirmed.
It's light the stage.
Confirmed that it is light the stage. Go ahead.
It's 2 and a red sorcery. It's an uncommon. And it says exile the top 2 of your library, and you may cast them until the end of your next turn. So it also has an ability called Spectacle.
It is Spectacle. Confirmed now.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's Spectacle for 1 red, and we have no idea what this ability does.
None.
We have a couple theories, but we currently have no idea what it does.
Take it away.
So first we have to really know it. Like, is it an additional cost or is it a alternative cost?
I would say alternative cost.
Okay, and I would agree with you.
Something to be done with being cast from exile.
Yeah,
Something.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. So if we're gonna,
You may cast it at the time it is exiled for its spectacle cost.
that's what I think it's gonna end up being.
So do I.
And think about how that would work with like Jaya's ultimate.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Going on.
and really what I don't think it's gonna say cast personally. I think it's gonna say
Play.
something along the lines of, if this were to be exiled, you may pay 1 red, and then if you do, copy the spell. So that way it remains in exile, but you still get the ability.
What if it's put into your hand?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, because then with this spell, let's say you get another light the stage, and you could put it into your hand after that. I mean, that's pretty
It's
interesting.
essentially draw card spells for red,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, because even with the exile, that's also kind of like draw cards.
That's probably not it.
Yeah.
That's probably not it. Let's not even go down that line. I think it is cast as it is exiled. You may cast this spell.
And I'm still going to put my money on that you get to copy the spell and that it stays in exile. Because if you were to cast it, it would go to your graveyard.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But another thing that could do is maybe it puts it on the bottom of your library instead, or maybe on top of your library.
Who knows, man? I mean, it's all conjecture at this point.
If it was to like be put on the bottom of your library, maybe it would have to be like an additional cost, kind of like Kicker. So like if you were to...
I like that.
If you pay the spectacle cost, you then get to do something special.
What if it's something really ridiculous? Like if you pay the spectacle cost in addition to the casting cost, you put it back in your hand.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
I don't think they would do it.
I don't think so either. We're talking about totally game-breaking stuff right there.
Yeah.
It has something to do with being exiled. It has something to do with being cast, right? That's what we're looking at here. So,
yeah. So let's look at some of these other ones that popped up. So
yeah, we started some decent conversations yesterday about Simic Ascendancy.
Yeah. So this card is really interesting. So Simic Ascendancy is green and a blue. It's an enchantment. So basically a do-nothing enchantment. And it has 1 green and blue, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And then it says, whenever 1 or more +1 or +1 counters are put onto a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. And then it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game.
We've got some interesting stuff that we can do with this.
Yeah, we really do.
I mean,
So one of the first things that came to mind for us was Merfolk. Because Merfolk, I mean, obviously it's green and blue, and then it's the way it's been building recently. They're putting +1/+1 counters all over each other.
I mean, Jade Light, not the Jade. Yeah, is it Jade Bearer? Yeah, Jade Bearer, right?
One green for a 1/1 when it enters the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on a Merfolk you control.
And what's the 2-drop 1 colorless 1 green Merfolk that says whenever you cast a Merfolk, put a +1/+1?
Deeproot Champion, is that right?
That's it. Deeproot Champion allows you to do that as well. So we're getting into some crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then not to mention Kumena.
Tap 5 of them. Put a +1/+1 counter on every Merfolk you control.
And then as we were starting to go through it, there were even more synergies that we found with like Song of Freyalise.
Oh, yeah. That's just beautiful, isn't it? I mean, think about that. That is 1 colorless, 1 green saga enchantment. The first 2 chapters of the saga say that creatures you control tap and add a mana of any color to your mana pool.
So imagine using that in conjunction with the Simic Ascendancy, where you're just putting +1 counters on your creatures by tapping it.
Yeah, that's literally all you're doing. It's literally just +1/+1 counter farm. Farm.
And then on the 3rd chapter, when it ultimates, it says put a +1/+1 counter on every creature you control. Then they get Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible until end of turn.
I want you to think about how powerful this is when we are using an enchantment in conjunction, and it's on curve in Deeproot Waters. Because the Merfolk that we're putting into the battlefield, Deeproot Waters, for those who don't know, is 2 colorless, 1 blue enchantment. Whenever you play a Merfolk spell, generate a 1/1 blue Merfolk token with hexproof. So that is on curve. And when we're playing that with Song of Freyalise, we then have the ability to tap the tokens to play more Merfolk, to do these things, to put more tokens into play, to tap more tokens while Song of Freyalise is active, to put more counters. It gets bonkers. Yeah. And those tokens have hexproof. They have hexproof. Now all of this is kind of Magic Christmas land. Let's not forget that there's Cleansing Nova in the format. It tends to find its way in alongside Teferi a lot.
I think what we'll see is we'll see two versions of this deck. We'll see it where it's main board and it's the main plan. But I think what we're really going to see it is as a sideboard additional like win con against decks maybe like Turbo Fog or something like that. So where these Merfolks can't get the damage across, well, then they can at least have an alternative way to win the game.
You know what I see also being really good with this is Hungering Hydra.
Oh, yeah.
And Venerated Loxodon. I know you keep telling me, don't think about Bant. Don't think about Bant. I'm thinking about Bant. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I think Hungering Hydra is perfect. So that one is X and a green, and it says it comes into play with X +1/+1 counters. So what we'd have to double check is to see if that would trigger the Simic Ascendancy. I think it does because we have...
Of course it does.
Yeah. So
+1/+1 counters are being placed on a creature.
Right. So then on top of that, whenever it's dealt damage, you put that many +1/+1 counters on it. So which then triggers the Simic Ascendancy. So if like it's a 6/6 and then it blocks a 5/5, you would put 5 counters on it and then 5 counters on your Simic Ascendancy.
Oh man, that sounds great. Okay. Let's move it along. Simic Ascendancy aside, you can probably find these spoilers out there. Again, a green and a blue rare enchantment. Check it out.
So we also have a really interesting green and blue card in Growth Spiral.
This is crazy, right?
Yeah. So
instant speed, 1 green, 1 blue, explore.
Basically, yeah. It
instant speed.
Yeah. It says draw a card. You may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield.
A land, not a basic land, ladies and gentlemen.
A land.
A land.
So it's basically an explorer.
Common.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Instant speed common. I am going to, mark my words here, I'm going to get a book, one of those big binders, nicely padded, 4x4s, whatever, and I'm going to fill it with growth spirals. I'm going to fill it with growth spirals so I can carry it around with me the next time I'm at a MagicFest or a GP and just hand them out like candy. Because that is the best possible present I could give you, is a common for a green and a blue that draws me a card at instant speed and allows me to put a land, not a basic land, a land from my hand onto the battlefield.
It's insane. It's a great card.
Untapped.
Yeah. This is a great...
It's incredible.
This is going to be great in like Pauper. It's great in a lot of different... because Explore still sees play in Modern.
I'm just so happy.
It's so good.
Oh, gosh.
We're also getting Mortify reprint.
Yeah, Mortify's coming back.
1 white and black, instant speed, destroy target
Vampires
creature,
really needed that.
or enchantment. Mhm.
Vampires need that to shine.
Yep.
Is what they need.
We also have a really new card called Rakdos Firewheeler.
Black, red.
Yep, for a 4/3 that says when Rakdos Firewheeler enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker.
Whoa. Yeah, that's just an uncommon.
Yep.
You know, if that's any indication of what's to come with Rakdos, we were hyping that a couple episodes ago, but if that is any indication of what's to come, I am extremely excited.
Yeah.
What else was spoiled? We already talked about Light the Stage.
That looks like to be the end of it, except for
Wait. There was a black flying lifelink vampire that you were talking about.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this one is, I don't have the name in front of me, but it's 4 black.
The Haunt of the High Tower.
Yeah, for a 3/3 with flying and lifelink, and it says whenever it attacks, target opponent discards a card. Whenever a card goes into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it swings in as a 4/4, assuming they have cards in hand. If you're playing like a light mill strategy or something like that, then it's just like this thing is huge.
This could just be such a it's put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere.
Yeah.
What a commander card.
Yep. This is definitely a commander card. I'm definitely gonna be building some decks around it for standard.
I mean, I can't even tell you how cool that is. Yeah. That's just the coolest thing ever.
So if in standard, it's a bit of a trap because if you were to cast it's a 3/3
bolt.
Yeah, lightning strike kills it right away.
Yeah.
But if you're able to make it work, and let's brew around it just real fast.
I'll brew with it.
So if we were to play something like the Eldest Reborn,
sure,
right? We mill this to our graveyard somehow. We get it back for free, and then we're able to maybe instant speed kill a creature in response to them trying to kill it, or be able to mill our opponent or something like that. Then all of a sudden we have a 5/5/6/6 flying lifelinker. That's a lot harder to kill, and it still has these abilities on it. So
I'm going to tell you what, a card like this, I think at 6 converted mana cost, is insanely powerful. It's incredibly powerful. I bet we're going to get more mill strategies too. I really, really do. Either way, look, by the time we get to the next episode of the main phase, we're going to have a lot more spoilers to discuss, but get out there, look them up. We're very excited, if you can't tell with all the giggling and the giddy things that are going on. But
we love this season.
Oh, man, very, very excited. Getting out to the pre-release events is some of the best Magic ever.
And it's also a great time to introduce somebody new to the game too.
It really is.
So if you have some friends who are contemplating playing the game, give them obviously like a week of prep, because they need to still learn how to like do the basic functions.
Build some basic 40 carders. Yeah. Literally take them, sit down, go spend $15 and buy 5 packs of Magic from Standard, and sit down and just build decks together out of those packs.
And then, sit down and just maybe play a couple of games, get them up to speed on so you attack after main phase 1, you can choose how to block, you can choose not to block, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just kind of get them where that's in the back of their mind. And then when pre-release comes around, have them come out, maybe you buy their packs for them, just to get them like introduced into the game. And because everyone knows pre-release is the most casual, most fun event that you can possibly play, because everybody has never played with these cards before.
Casual? Says you. I'm there for blood. I am there for blood, dude.
So, it's one of those ones where people are just super chill. That if you have questions, people are happy to answer them for you.
It's true.
It's a lot of fun. So also, if you do play the game and you've never played pre-release, why haven't you? Go out and play. It's a lot. There
is no better time to play the game than a pre-release event. The energy is up. Everybody's happy. Everybody's positive. It's more often than not laughing. It's just a really good time. It's one of the best times to be involved with the game and with the community. MagicFest Memphis coming up.
Yep.
What are you thinking? That's in February.
Yep. You said it was like February 11th, something like that.
Yeah.
So February 15th.
15th through 17th. That's it.
So it's the day after Valentine's Day.
It is. So both Derek and I have women in our lives that we're married to. Okay. So, and I'm very grateful. Don't get me wrong, but it may be difficult for us to make. We may need to wait for another one. We will see. That is the weekend of Valentine's Day. We would certainly like to be able to get there and do that if we're trying to become single men faster.
We definitely will be there.
So
I did already talk to my wife about it, and she begrudgingly said fine, but yeah. So we'll see.
Daggers.
Well, daggers. So we'll see. I also had, just for those who don't know, recently started a new job. So
hey, congratulations!
Thank you.
Did end up getting that job at NASA.
NASA.
We're firing them off to Mars.
So no, I may have to accrue some vacation time too. So who knows?
We're firing them off to Mars. Okay.
Right. But no. So we'll see about MagicFest Memphis. We would definitely like to go. It is a standard event.
It is a standard event. That's what we need.
Yeah, it's right up our alley.
That's what we do.
They are doing some modern there as well, and obviously some
Wouldn't
sealed
surprise me at all. There's also going to be some commander games, commander pods. They do a lot of that. They make sure that there's something for everybody.
So definitely, if you guys haven't gone out to like a GP, now it's called MagicFest. If you guys haven't gone out to those before, they are a lot of fun.
They are.
If you sit down, if you did the actual main event, it is, make sure you get a good night's sleep the night before, but it's going to be some of the best Magic you'll ever play.
In that particular standard format. By the time that February 15th through 17th rolls around, we're going to also have Ravnica Allegiance online.
That's true.
We're going to have all of the shock lands at our disposal.
That's going to be a great opportunity for people who like to do jank brews or things like that. That's going to be a great time for you to go out there to bring something that you just kind of built and really disrupt the decks that have been firing really well the previous season.
This is a time for you to make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
Again, these Magic Fests, we got to get out to these. We got to start winning tournaments. Debo and I are on the hunt over the course of the next few years and taking the game more and more seriously, especially at the standard level, potentially finding a Pro Tour berth. Anyway, that's it for us. We will circle back around on Magic Fest Memphis. Be looking for our stream notifications to be dropped on all of our socials here very shortly. We are finalizing the assets for the stream just so when we go live is 100% up to speed, aiming at attempting to get some subscriber base and partner with Twitch to get the stream up and running so that we can bring you even more grade A content.
And also remember to follow us on our socials. At Facebook, it's LandSayGo. On Twitter, it's at LandSayGo1. Also come and join us on our website at www.landsaygo.com. We have articles posted every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and obviously this podcast is posted every Thursday. So we hopefully will see you there. Also, feel free to drop us a line and drop us a deck list if you'd like us to do a review on it. We love to hear from you guys, and we love to do some write-ups on your guys' lists.
Nothing better than brews from the community. All right, Debo. I'll see you next week, brother.
All right, this is Jeremy and Debo signing off.